What is going on, boys and girls? It is your boy Temporary Citizen. I'm back at Coast Yamaha for something different, and today I am on a KTM 790 Duke. Let's jump on. Alrighty here. Alright, so today, boys and girls, I'm on the KTM 790 Duke. Now this is KTM's first parallel twin possibly ever. So something a little bit different for them, the 790. Something a little different for me. Well, parallel twins are different, but... So first up, let's talk about the price. So this thing's about 15.5 grand plus on roads. So it's definitely not cheap for bikes of this sort of size. You know, you got the MT-09 that's around about 12-ish. Z900's fairly similar. So that's, you know, in that sort of middleweight market, it's not the cheapest thing in the world. But, you know, that is something... KTM, not exactly known for cheapest bikes on the market. And, you know, not everyone has to be. You know, no one's upset about the affordability of Ducatis. So, first off, I want to say this seat, for being so thin, is pretty comfy. It feels pretty nice on my bum because it's very flat. Secondly, my 207 meter, 6'7" frame fits really nicely under these little tank inserts, which is something very rare for me. So I rate that. You know, that's cool. It is a little bit weird to find this. These pegs are very back in a very aggressive position, but that's cool. Yeah, and then I fit under these little bits nicely, so that's cool with me. What else? Aesthetically, this thing's a little all over the place. I reckon if you tidy up that tail, change the exhaust to something a bit less dorky, it'd look pretty good from the rear end. The headlight's cool in a KTM way. The tank's very bizarre, but that's sort of, you know, it's still pretty cool. The dash is pretty cool. I mean, it's got that full LCD display. I think they're LCD. And then you've got that, you got a whole lot of options in here. So currently we're on street mode. Out of the three, there's race, street, and rain. We've got ABS on, which you can turn off, which is, you know, for max stoppies. And what else? I think you can play with the traction control levels and everything else, but it's all sort of pretty stock standard what you got. It's cool with these indicators here. I like that. That's like a cool spot where you'd put your indicators when you're modding a bike, so they've done it for you. The same as this little reservoir. That's sick. Right, so aesthetics and price are the two biggest factors. What's it like to ride? Well, because you're sitting in such like a tucked little position. I mean, you're upright, but then your legs are all tucked in. It feels really flickable. Doesn't quite feel as flickish and aggressive as the XSR does, or the MT-09 for the same reasons. But yeah, that's Feels really nice. It doesn't feel overpowering, but at the same time, you know, doesn't feel slow. It feels very planted, which, you know, I wouldn't expect from a KTM. I'd expect a bit of a hooligan bike, but it actually feels really, really usable with its power. Like the XSR, you get on the throttle and it just feels like it's going to take off, but this, very, very planted, so that's cool. That's nice of them to make the bike stay down. So that stock exhaust sounds okay, nothing crazy. So this thing power-wise, it's got just over 100 horsepower, weighs about 170-ish kilos roughly. Looking up the figures, I don't have them on me. Dude, KTM need to sort out their mirrors, these are trash. So it's quick, I mean it's a motorbike, it's quick, it's a just under 800cc twin, you know, a little bit more than the MT-07, but it's not restricted or anything else. And I'm guessing this is going to be where it loves to be, in twisties or on the track, because, you know, KTM like making things race ready. Yeah, that feels really planted through the corners, which is nice. It's very confidence inspiring. It's got a whole lot of stuff on the dash, which I appreciate. I hate having to cycle dash for clock, and so what do we got? We got clock, temperature, trip, and range. So that is just super handy to have on the dash. But you know, it's like they got a big boy screen, unlike the XSR. I just hate cycling. Oh, cyclists and cycling through a dash, two of my pet peeves. So something else that it's got is an auto blipper, which what that does, I think, is it blips when you're changing gears, so you can clutchless shift and it blips. Yeah, that's so smooth for clutchless shifting up and down. So it blips the throttle so that you can clutchless shift. Let me know if I'm wrong, because I probably am, but either way that felt really smooth, and I didn't flick the throttle when I clutchless up or down. So the fact that it didn't go is a positive. Tell you what, this is really nice. This is so good to ride through the hills, which I know is surprising for a naked bike. But even if you were stepping up from your lambs to your first full-powered bike, something like this would be a great mix, especially if you're coming from like an MT-07. You know, the step up's not huge, but you get a bit more power and everything else. Which, I don't know, I mean, having an underpowered bike is underrated, I reckon, because I've had an R1 and I can tell you that it is shite to try and keep under the speed limit. Whereas something like this, you know, mind you, this is in street, so it might feel crazy in... let's go... close throttle. Haha, that's easy. That's sick. Okay, so probably shouldn't fuck around with the dash whilst you're riding, because it's just as bad as being on a phone screen. But, you know, now I'm in sport mode, so that's cool. Now, in sport, that throttle does seem a little snappier, but that's what you'd expect. I've been driving around in A mode on the XSR, so, you know, I'm used to snatchy throttles at the moment. I'm guessing that's just what the modes do, is you've got your rain, obviously, cuts it by a shitload, your standard, and then your very twitchy sport. Realistically, you don't need to be riding in sport all the time, but I'm doing a review through some twisty bits, so I figured, why not? So, now that I've been on quite a number of the middleweight naked bikes, let's see how we go comparing. So obviously you've got the MT-09, Z900, and KTM 790. All three have got different numbers of cylinders, right? So starting at the bottom, you got the KTM 790, that's a parallel twin. You got the MT09, which is an 850cc triple, has a bit more power, has about 20 horsepower or so extra, and then you got the Z900, which is 900cc inline 4. Obviously that's got the most power out of the three of them. Which would I pick? Now, obviously I bought an XSR 900, which is the MT09 in a cool skin, basically. And I bought that because I reckon that one's the best. It's also, that MT power plant is sort of your best bang for your buck out of the three of them. The Kawasaki costs a little bit more, and then the KTM costs a little bit more again. Now this is a really good bike if you want to be a little bit different to everyone else, as most KTMs are, and you also are, and you're also not super confident with a very aggressive, you want to make that step up, but you don't want to dive into the deep end. I think the KTM's sort of that market, especially, I think it's a really good bike for dudes that are getting back into riding bikes after not riding bikes for years. Especially as they make up, or here at least, they make up the highest percentage of crashes and accidents. Is the middle-aged dudes getting back into riding after not riding for years. So something like this, it's a little less power, it's a little down on power, it's a little more expensive, but they quite often have the disposable income to afford that, and just that little bit subdued compared to the others in that same category. It makes it sort of the perfect for that bracket, I'd reckon. Obviously you're going to have young people that love KTMs. I've never been a big KTM fanboy, but I got friends that are, so it's all different strokes for different blokes, isn't it? So there's like a lot of cool little things about this bike, and if you did a little bit to it, it'd definitely, you touched up that back end and you changed the pipes, you'd be on with a pretty good looking bike. Oh, the other thing for harping on about that middle-aged man bracket is, it's still, even though your legs, it feels like your legs and your knees are forward, your feet are back, your bum's back, but then because you've got your fairly high bars still, you're still quite upright. So you're getting that aggressive body position, but propping yourself upwards, which makes it quite comfortable. So that seat, still don't have a problem with it after this ride, which is cool. It's always nice when bikes have nice seats. So yeah, closing words. If you're on a budget, I don't think it would be worth springing for this over one of the other options available, such as the MT09. But if you're a bit of an older dude, or someone that's not super confident looking to get back into riding, and you've got a little bit extra money, I'd say grab something like this, because you could ride it in street mode, and then when you felt confident, go on up to sport, and you can take it to a track, and you could do all those cool things on it. There's heaps of options to play around with. It's easy to read dash, which is good. Yeah, there's a lot of things they've done right with this bike. The only issue, hello camera, the only issue is the pricing, but that's always something that's been a KTM issue. And that's not necessarily an issue, pricing's pricing, they put a lot of money into R&D and do things differently to everyone else, don't they? But it feels like a quality bike, you'd hope for that, getting with the money you're paying for it. It just seems a little bit odd to have such a premium price point for a middleweight bike, but it's KTM, they're gonna sell it, so that's the main thing. Alright, thanks for watching, boys and girls. I've been Temp Citz, you've been beautiful. I'll see you on the next one. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, Tell your friends to watch me, tell your mum to watch me. Go down to Coasties, thank them for all the sick bikes and go buy a bike off of them. Let them know Temp Citz sent you. And I'll see you gorgeous people in the next one. Peace.